August meeting of the North Bennington Graded School District Prudential Committee. I'm Marie Molyneux. I'm the chairperson of the board. And we have 3 other board members, plus our treasurer, Doug Pucci, and Lonnie DePonte DeSorda is here. Matthew Patterson is here. Tim Kane is here. And Lori Elwell, our secretary, board secretary, and secretary of the district, clerk of the district is here. So that said, the first order of business is always public comments, and I don't see anybody to offer them.
I do not see anybody.
Okay. So we move to finance, the treasurer's report for July of 2024, and that the ball is in Doug's court.
Okay. So the report came out. Obviously, this is our the tightest time from a cash flow standpoint. So we are funded right now, and we have large checks that will be approved here momentarily. So I have requested our first draw from the line of credit just to put a cushion in, because basically the total of the checks that are going out is almost equal to what our available cash is. So for the next month to 2 months, we'll kind of float by with the line of credit until probably late September will be when the first batch of state aid comes in. It's usually after we have to cut the September check for the village school, which is the largest tuition check. So usually I have another advance I'll have to take in September. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Only other couple of things that I have, not a whole lot. Like I said, we did receive our bond interest check. I picked that up from the central office today. That was for a little over $20,000. And if you remember, that comes annually. And now we are pretty much on track. A couple of years ago, we had a huge delay in that, but now it's been pretty consistent the last 2 years, late July, early August, that's been coming through. So that'll go into the account. The only other change that I'll discuss, Ray and Matt, obviously at the village last night know this, but moving forward, the village is going to pay the total required by the state to the North Bennington Graded School District, as opposed to holding delinquencies back. So the village will retain all delinquencies and all collections. So it's not a huge change. It does put the North Bennington Graded School District in line with all other districts within the SVSU. We were the only one that was doing it that way. So that'll put us in line with all the other folks who use the SVSU for services and things of that nature. So
would you like to explain that briefly for the viewing audience,
Sure.
And the board members who weren't present at the
Yep, absolutely.
trustees?
So the Village of North Bennington collects all school taxes paid by the North Bennington Graded School District and what's called the Shaftesbury ID1. Those collections are for both the North Bennington Graded School District and the Mount Anthony High School District. Any child who doesn't attend those two and they go to, say, Southshire or Shaftesbury, those tuition bills come through and those are paid monthly. So the money goes into the North Bennington Graded School and then flows out via invoices, basically. So obviously every year, folks know that there's delinquent taxes. Not everybody pays on time mid-November. Give you the first FYI, the taxes this year are going to be due November 12th. So the 10th is on the weekend. Monday, the 11th is Veterans Day. So discussion with Town of Bennington, we've set tax day, property taxes due November 12th. So after that, the delinquencies are determined. In the past, the Mount Anthony School District bill was paid in full. The North Bennington Graded School District bill was paid less any outstanding school delinquencies. on a monthly basis, collections plus interest were paid to the school district. That required me to do 2 sets of reconciliation, a monthly basis for the school, and then the annual that is required. So discussion with a couple of the folks in the accounting office at SVSU. They discussed it with me a few months ago and said we were the only district doing it this way. And would the village be open to paying in full as we do with Mount Anthony? Trustees discussed it last evening at the village meeting and approved that slight change to just pay in full. So that first reconciliation, when it comes out, typically is paid right around December 1st, depending on how the calendar falls. So going forward, that bill will be paid in full, and then delinquencies that are collected will be retained by the Village of North Bennington along with the interest collected. Then the state does a second reconciliation towards the end of the fiscal year, usually sometime in the May-ish timeframe. And any change at that point, the last couple of years, there's been overpayment, so that money would then be returned to the village. If there's a shortage because the state recalculates, then it would go forward from there. So like I said, it's really just which pot the money sits in, as it's collected. So now going forward, delinquencies will just stay with the Village of North Bennington. So that's kind of how that works. Anybody, Ray obviously could have questions too, but mostly anybody that wasn't at the village meeting, if Lonnie or Tim or even Laura, anybody has any questions. But other than that, that was really the only couple of things that I had to talk about. So I'll leave it open for any questions.
Seeing none, Alfred.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep. And I'm going to jump off. I have company here at the house, so I'm going to jump off if nobody else needs me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, take care. So we'll move to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of approving minutes from June 12th and July 10th. We had a special meeting in July to approve the line of credit loan papers. And June 12th was our last regular meeting. That was quite a ways back, but we didn't meet other than the special meeting in July. So that's why we have 2 sets of minutes. And then we have the warrants, really the first warrants of FY25 here. And so the first one of these is in the amount of $325,567 and a few cents. And that is payments, pay Lori Elwell for meeting minutes, and pay the village school 2 months worth of tuition for students. And then we had, normally we would have paid this back in June, but there are building expenses that are taken care of in part, taken care of by the village school for the district that we reimburse. And those are expenses that fall from the declarations in the lease agreement, which mean that the district is responsible for the structural integrity of the building, and we usually take that to include infrastructure like plumbing, electrical, alarms, and so forth, things that have to be there for the building to be serviceable as a unit, as a school, that can be used as a school. So in this particular case, there were larger than usual numbers of expenses, which I forwarded a list of the items that were gathered by the village school, some of which I disallowed. But it still added up to a total of $79,577.70. And they included some alarm refittings to have an evac system that the state required, which has a voiceover when there is a problem. So there's an actual voiceover announcement of what's happening. And some additional speakers were installed to make sure that there was coverage over the whole building. A renovation of the bathroom that was in use by pre-K to make it more serviceable, since it had a good 20-some years, 3 years of wear, no, more than that. Closer to 30 years of wear on it from the last renovation. So there were some materials for that renovation. Some additional electrical products provided by Twin State Electric and First Choice Communication Services. Those were all like camera systems for surveillance, basically, of the exterior and some interior spaces, public hallways and so forth. And then there was a major lighting upgrade to switch most of the fixtures in the building to LEDs. And some additional lighting and replacement of the dishwasher in the kitchen. And then there's some elevator expenses. I don't think it's proper for us to pay the sort of maintenance agreement expenses, but there are certain service calls that are related to the actual functioning of the elevator that we have to provide, because that elevator has to be there for us to meet ADA requirements. And then in addition, the inspection revealed that cable that's in use on the elevator has a hydraulic system, but it has a cable. Operates a cable that pulls the car up and down. And that cable had some evidence of rust. So it's being replaced by the elevator service company. So we put a down payment on that cable at the end of June. So I took that expense out because obviously we paid for it. But it's in this list. Ultimately, we deducted the things that we were not going to pay for because they seemed to me to be operational. Now, we could have a discussion about that, or we could discuss it further at some other time. I don't know, but if anyone cares to offer anything on those matters, I'd be open to listening to it now.
Ray, what impact does
Sorry.
what
go
impact does that have? What impact does that have on our, our sinking fund?
Well, it's the amount totaled more than our sinking fund, but not that much more. So we split the bills into those that would be paid for as part of FY24. So they would go into that audit, and then paid the balance left over, which looking for there was $17,000 extra, and that's coming out of the FY25 budget. If you remember, we have a healthy amount budgeted in the building fund for FY 25. Okay. So yeah, but enough said, that's what it is.
Ray, Ray, is this kind of why Doug said that we're kind of running not on empty, but just kind of coasting until the end of
No,
September?
it has nothing to do with that, because the funds that we're talking about were in the sinking fund for maintenance, and they're in the current budget also for the same purpose.
His was just the
So-
taxes.
It's the other thing, the expenses are just because we basically don't have tax revenue coming in at the moment. And so we use the line of credit to go over that, but the line of credit is not actually funding most of these expenses. It's coming out of what we had banked in the building fund reserve. And what we have, been in this current budget, FY 25, for funding building fund reserve, and if we happen to be able to get lucky and get some contractors, maybe the ventilation system, that if it doesn't have enough money in the ARPA funds for it, so. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 12th, 2024, and July 10th, 2024. And the warrants, which I read one warrant off, there's a second warrant that is for 49,000, which is the 49,000, which includes oh wait, it's got several items I didn't, Catamount Access Television, we pay $400 that a month, monthly expense. We didn't have any usage in, I guess that's for the month. And then the capital reserve fund, as they styled it on the warrant, that's paying the expenses for FY 24. So both that warrant is for an FY 24 expense. And then the FY 25 part of the warrants are, why don't we approve? Let's do the minutes, and then we'll do the FY 24 warrant, and then we'll do the FY 25 warrant. How about that? So someone want to make a motion, please, for the minutes for June 12th and July 10th?
I'll make that motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you. Okay, or is there any discussion about those minutes? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the next motion would be for the FY 24 warrants, which, how do I read this? I no longer know how they number this. You know this? Oh, it's on the front page.
Yes, should be.
So it's it doesn't really have a number, a single number. So, August 14th, 2024, fiscal year 2024 warrants. That's for $49,492.32. That includes $400 for CAT TV. That's payment. Must be related to FY 24, right? It says,
So moved.
and the village school, the payment to the village school for the $49,000 that I talked about. We had a motion from,
I'll make that motion.
Yeah,
Okay. Tim, are you seconding? Or you made the motion, you're seconding? I didn't.
I second
Matthew
the
has made it and you're second. Okay. So, I'll call the question. All in favor of passing that warrant? Say aye.
I,
Aye. Okay, that's all of us. And then the second warrant is for fiscal year 2025, and that is pays Lori for minutes for July, the July 10th meeting, and the village school, the remainder of the building expenses, $17,177, and two payments of tuition for July, payment for July and August in the amount of $154,182.77 each. So that total is $325,567.06.
So moved.
Second from someone? I'll second it.
Jinx,
Bonnie seconded it?
Okay.
So any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. We're done with the mess of. Okay. Now, that's the consent agenda. Now there's no other reports except anything I have to say about facility and other. And other, I'll go first. I did a count because Brittany Cassan in the finance department has been asking people to recertify their children who do not go to the village school. That's the way we do this. We let them, I let the finance office send out the recertification forms, and then I approve them when they come back. And we try to do it electronically as much as possible. So I've counted up how many there are of these students. These students are distributed between independent schools, South Shire, Highland Hall, Grace Christian, Sacred Heart, and schools of the SVUESD. So there are two at Molly Stark. There's somebody at Powell. Powell, yes, one at Powell. And then there are quite a number at Shaftesbury School, which I did not count them all up. I didn't break them out. So it would take me a little bit of time to figure that out, but I will send you a notice about that. At any rate, the total number of students is 48 at the moment. That could change a little bit because some of those research have not been signed off on by parents. So we did have a couple of parents who have left the area. So that's 3 children that have moved out of the school district. And that could happen on some of the others as well, I suppose, but I'm banking that most of them are staying. And I don't have it distributed by who's new. There are some new students in there. Maybe I should do a fuller report once I've got all that together. And I included the tuition agreement with the village school for this year. in the packet. And so the way we have, or the way I've organized this to go is that the village school does those new residency affidavits that come in with documentation and the recertifications sent to parents who already have documentation on file. And then they report this in the annual census that occurs in, is submitted around October 15th. It's the 30th day of school is what is reflected, the 10th through the 30th, right? And once that's done, then we'll know that number, but the number that's in the tuition agreement that we're paying, that we paid 2 installments on, because there are 11 installments in the agreement. And we didn't get it signed in time to have a separate installment for July. It's all in this one warrant. It's for 85 students. So facilities, well, the ongoing saga of our roof took a turn when one of our major rainstorms, and it turned out that there was a leak around the ventilation fan that services the top floor or the bathrooms. And we got a repair done on that, and by the Vermont Roofing Company. And at the same time, they noticed that some other seams needed attention, so they attended to them. And we will be paying that bill, which is, I forget what it is, but we'll be paying in the course of due time. Once it's given to us by the village school. And we have a proposal there to deal with the issue in a more substantive way, because what was done was a 5-inch wide plate of rubber was put over the seams that were pulling away, opening up. And a better fix is possible. So I think we will ultimately do that. And the question is whether Firestone will cover it or not. It seems that they won't unless they see it. And since we fixed it because we were getting leaks, they don't think there's a problem at the moment. There's that. And what else are we doing facilities wise? I think after the rather unfortunate death of Derek, who designed the ventilation system, we were contacted, the school was contacted, the village school was contacted by his spouse, who volunteered to make sure that they got everything that they were entitled to and then paid for. And I don't know if there were further bills them to cover or not, but I was told by Tim that they indeed had received everything that they were supposed to receive in terms of most of that would have been specifications of equipment, the drawings we have, and I don't know what's been done about getting contractors to bid on that, but at this point it's in the hands of the village school because they have the contacts and the access to the money that's going to fund this primarily. What else would I say? I don't know. There are a couple of things we need to like, that were pointed at, this is turning into an kind of an ad hoc facilities meeting. But Holly Anderson from the SU gave us a report from Liberty Mutual, who does the property insurance. And they asked a question about whether anybody had inspected the cathodic, the sacrificial cathodic item that goes into the oil tank to take on the corrosion in preference to the steel of the tank. And I don't know about that. I'm not sure whom to contact, but I would think we would start with the tank manufacturer and installer that did such a good job for us. The other issue there for the insurance company was one they brought up before, which is that they think we need a second low water cutoff. And I believe we asked our plumber before when this was brought up, and he said, well, there's no room to put one in there. That you don't have space in that boiler to provide one at a lower setting, a lower height. So I don't know how we're going to resolve that. I think we just told them before that we can't do it. So I guess we'll continue with that strategy and see what you have to say about it. We were attempting to put some ventilation to direct the ventilation from the 2 bathrooms on the ground floor out the building through the boiler room. And I don't know if Terrence has found someone to do that, if Hayden is going to be able to do that before school gets started or shortly thereafter. And that's about all I can think of to report at the moment on that. Any questions? Any suggestions? Oh, windows. Sorry, I forgot about the windows. I think I forwarded the quote that Terrence had gotten from Home Depot for replacing windows. I believe these windows are the windows in the library, the largest windows in the library. And I don't think I heard anything back from any of you. I think the issue is they have an awning style window below a fixed window. And currently we have we have a single hung situation where we have the lower sash is movable and in a vertical manner. Now this would take care of the weight issues we've had, but the question in my mind that has to be resolved is whether, because it's a historic building, whether we have some restrictions on what fenestration we can put in. I don't even know where to begin on that, actually. So I'd welcome some suggestions about where I go to contact, and maybe Lori knows something about that because it involves a state agency, or I would think.
Regarding what, Ray?
It's a historic register building. I guess that's national. Yeah, but I think anything that's done to the exterior of the building that's visible has to be approved.
Yeah, you're correct.
And this would change the appearance by creating, their awnings, so they would swing out from the upper pivot.
I can check with the, because we've had to do there's been some outer renovations to the building that Powers is in. So I can check with the guy who owns Powers about that. And also maybe somebody at Park McCullough, because I know they had to do repair work on the portico.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming I could reach out to Polly and see if she has an idea of who we need to contact to get approval for that.
Well,
okay,
we have a whole historic designation plan, and Kim Hall, I think, would be someone to check with, and Chris Damon, who are in the village.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, Matt? I'm not sure I can hear Matt, but I think that's,
We can't
those
hear
two
Matt.
are, those two are gonna be able
You
to
can't
give you.
hear us.
Because we do that every single year. We have to
Okay.
sign paperwork for that,
Great.
and
Great,
I like Lonnie's ideas too. So I think between all of those ideas, we'll be able to get some answers.
okay. About where to go, yeah, initially. All right, so Lonnie's gonna do what, you're gonna follow up on that, your suggestion, Lonnie? Thank you. And I guess I could follow up, or Lori could follow up if she has time, with Kim or Chris.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. And that's all I have to say. Anybody else have anything to offer? We have an other on the agenda, so you can speak your mind if you wish. Matt, do you have something to say, or we can't hear you? You can't hear us?
It
I'm
doesn't
having
seem like,
trouble hearing any of you.
now I can hear Matt.
Yeah. We
Hello.
can hear you now. Okay, so I asked if you had anything to say, since.
I do not.
Okay. All right, well, I welcome the call for adjourning.
Movement to adjourn.
All right, thanks.
Second.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All in
Ray.
favor? Aye.
Aye.